Okay, so in addition to importing different file types such as Photoshop files, Illustrator files, JPEGs, MOVs, etc., you can also create new shapes and objects within After Effects. Now, you cannot do hand-drawn animation. Uh, I guess in theory you could, it would be like animating with a mouse. It'd be crazy difficult. You can't do hand-drawn animation like you can in Toon Boom or in Animate. And that's kind of the biggest thing about After Effects is that you really have to create all your assets outside of the application. But if you are just creating simple shapes, you can do that quite easily within the program, and it gives you different editability over those shapes. So say, for example, I'm going to use the scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out and hold down spacebar to sort of move my composition like this. So for this character's hair layer, I actually want to create this with vector art. Right now it's rasterized because it's coming in from Photoshop, but the way I want to animate it is going to be with Bezier points. And right now I can't do that. I could animate it using an effect, but in order to demonstrate shape layers, I'm going to do it this way. So up here we have a variety of different tools that you can use. The main sort of tool that you use is the selection tool, and that's V. And that's what you use to sort of, select things, and you can sort of drag on it and resize things as well. If you click into it, you'll click into the comp of the lower upper arm, for example. Um, the next one is the hand, and again, this just allows you to move stuff around. Again, if you have the V tool selected, you can just hold down spacebar, it does the same thing. Magnifying, same thing as scrolling in and out. Rotation, so if I wanted to rotate the tool, so when we start doing parent-child hinged animation, we're going to use the rotate tool in order to key, because unlike the select tool in either Animate or Toon Boom, the selection tool does not allow me to rotate at all. We have pan behind. We're going to use that to set our pivot points. Not going to touch that one. The shapes we can do, we can either create simple shapes such as rectangles, rounded rectangles, ellipses, polygons, and stars. So if you just wanted a circle or a rectangle, that's your tool. If you don't want any of those, you would then click on the pen tool. And here's the type tool if you wanted to do text. So the pen tool is going to allow you to create vector-based art. Now, I want to create a new layer because if I have a layer selected and I have the pen tool and I start drawing, it's going to think that I want to do a mask, and that's not what we want to do. We'll do that later, but not right now. In order to give myself a new layer, I have to actually go into File, New, where is it? Layer, New, there we go. Layer, New, and Shape Layer. It's the only one without a shortcut right here. And it's going to select this, it's going to create this lovely little layer down here that has a star, and that tells me that it's a shape layer. The Photoshop icon obviously is that it's a Photoshop layer, but the star, Photoshop layer, the star means it's a shape layer. So with the shape layer attached, I'm going to now get fill options. So my stroke right now is invisible and my fill is purple. If you don't have the invisible stroke option, you're going to hold down Alt or Option depending if you're on a Mac or a PC, and you can toggle through it. So here it is transparent, there it's a solid, there it's a gradient, there it's an inverse gradient, and then back to invisible. Same thing with the stroke. If you wanted a gradient or inverse gradient or invisible for the fill, you would just hold down Alt or Option and sort of toggle through until you get that. Took me a while to figure that out. So with the pen tool, no stroke, with a fill, I'm going to trace over my back hair. I'm going to use the solo mode. So the solo mode is if you just click this little dot right here and right here, it's going to hide everything except for the things that I've selected. I think it's also called the shy mode in case your layers are especially shy. Isolate mode, that's sort of the same concept. So with my shape layer, I'm going to just take my pen tool and just create some beautiful curves right here. And don't panic if it's starting to look funky. If you're used to working in Illustrator, you're not going to even be fazed by this. If you like creating assets like this, you're better off working in Illustrator. The Bezier handle tools are just, they're not as nice in After Effects as probably you're used to, but for me, they are perfectly fine. And as long as I'm sort of close to the shape that I was going for, I'm going to be pretty happy. And now I can just, having my back hair Photoshop layer selected, hit delete. To rename this one, just hit enter with it selected and go back hair. And now I have a completely original shape that I created inside of After Effects.